I'd now like to introduce Cynthia Schwarz, who is a painting conservator here at Yale University Art Gallery.
Hello again. My head is spinning from the quality of all of the talks over the last 2 days, and I want to thank Matt for pointing out the importance of the Humble case study before I begin, because that's what I'll be presenting today. Painted between 1908 and 1911 by Edwin Austin Abbey, this 12-foot or 3.6 meter in diameter painting in the collection of the Yale University Art Gallery was created as a half-scale preparatory study for a 24-foot ceiling painting, The Passage of the Hours, currently in situ in the House Chamber of the Pennsylvania State Capitol building in Harrisburg. 24 women, personifications of the hours, move around the perimeter of a celestial sphere filled with constellations of the northern hemisphere. With the sun placed in Libra and the full moon in Aries, Abbey references a placement of astronomical bodies during the fall equinox, a fleeting moment when day and night are equal. Though largely unknown today, Abbey was one of the most prominent American painters working at the turn of the 20th century, producing several spectacular academic paintings, one of which is on view in the American galleries upstairs, and a few major mural commissions, his most famous being The Quest of the Holy Grail in the Boston Public Library, just down the hall from Puvis' philosophy mural that was discussed by Gianfranco yesterday. Industrious, detail-oriented, and brimming with ideas, Abbey produced hundreds of studies for each composition in a wide range of media, including watercolor, oil, pastel, graphite, and chalk. Here you see only a small selection of the many studies that Abbey completed for the Hours Commission. The painting came to Yale in 1937, along with the contents of Abbey's studio, which included over 3,000 preparatory paintings and drawings. Records indicate that the Hours remained stretched until Abbey's possessions were packed for shipment, when it was removed from its stretcher, rolled, shipped across the Atlantic, and placed into art gallery basement storage for 80 years. It was never exhibited or treated, although it was surveyed and sympathetically rehoused by our colleague Ann O'Connor during an IMLS-funded project nearly 20 years ago. One of Abbey's most ambitious and visually striking preparatory paintings, the study will feature prominently in a spring 2021 exhibition exploring the expressive potential of the figure in American public art during the Gilded Age, an artistic period also termed the American Renaissance. With the knowledge that this exhibition will also travel to at least one international venue, about a year ago we began treatment. The study was painted on a fairly open and evenly woven linen, prepared with a commercially primed lead-white ground. Abbey used the full width of the cloth, measuring 160 inches from selvage to selvage. Like many of his preparatory paintings, Abbey applied leanly bound paints in transparent, overlapping washes. Dry media is present underneath, between, and on top of the paint layers, as Abbey used charcoal and white chalk to place and later modify the figures and constellations. Gold and silver leaf were applied over impastoed white paint to create the shimmering effect of the moon, sun, stars, and Milky Way. The canvas remained supple and strong. However, there were severe undulations pressed into the canvas from decades of tightly rolled storage, creating a corrugated pattern across the surface. Several strong creases from past folding of the canvas extend the width of the painting and are marked by losses. The tacking edges display the most wear, likely from the painting being rolled back and forth on its edge as Abbey worked. The painting retains its original unvarnished matte surface, though minor burnishing is present throughout where the paint film rubbed against the roll interleaf. Much of this burnishing is located in the night half of the painting, where a thin layer of efflorescence can be seen over the dark colors of the robes. The large size and shape of this painting, its particular condition concerns, and travel and display requirements present unique challenges for its treatment. A consolidant was needed that would not saturate the matte surface. Canvas deformations had to be addressed under tension, necessitating the temporary looming of the painting on a working strainer. And finally, the anticipated international travel presents a challenge. Didn't want to do that yet. As the painting is too large to fit through lab and gallery doorways, the hours study either needs to be rolled during transport and re-stretched in the galleries or stretched onto a folding stretcher. As it happened, the original stretcher, dissociated from the painting for decades, was found in our architectural fragments collection a few months before our treatment. And so we decided to go ahead and use the original stretcher. Though Abby sometimes did use folding stretchers, this one disassembles into 2 half circles. It's missing the crossbars here, but we're modifying it. Disassembles into 2 half circles for transport, meaning the painting will travel on a roller. In order to re-stretch the painting as non-invasively as possible at each venue, we are using a Velcro attachment from the edge lining to the edges of the loose-lined stretcher. The current plan for display is to hang the painting elevated but canted forward, but we also want our stretching to be able to support the painting if it were to be shown as a ceiling. With these goals and challenges in mind, it was time to unroll the painting and get to work. A platform of particle board pallets and masonite was constructed to provide a clean and elevated space. The surface was prepared with blotter, pellon, and tissue to provide a firmly padded surface for structural work. A bridge was also fabricated to span the length of the work to access flaking areas towards the center of the painting. So it was unrolled, and our team began examining and condition reporting with a final condition map created in Photoshop. And I just have to give credit to my co-authors, Juliana and Kelsey, for this, because I'm not as good in Photoshop. After extensive testing and finding that the surface is easily saturated and blanches with exposure to moisture, flaking paint was consolidated with a mixture of Aquazol and Funori in an isopropanol water mixture. Once stabilized, we turned our attention to building a working strainer, as we knew that we would have to work under tension to resolve planar deformations. The tacking margins of the painting are flattened and quite wide, making the overall needed dimensions of the working strainer 14 feet in diameter. While discussing possibilities with our in-house woodshop crew, we realized that a wooden strainer of these dimensions would be cumbersome and heavy. We turned to a local metalworking shop to have a 14-foot aluminum strainer fabricated from 1.5-inch hollow square stock. The strainer has an internal bisecting stabilizing structure that can be removed for uninterrupted access to the verso. It also has flanges around the outer edges that would allow it to be bolted to the floor and secured if necessary. The attachment to the strainer was a perfect opportunity to use a Velcro attachment as a trial for the final stretching. Working with our colleague Łukasz Bratasz, we calculated the strength of Velcro attachment should the painting ever be displayed as a ceiling, and determined that it was well over 2 times the needed strength threshold. We selected nylon Velcro over polyester because it has both a higher shear strength and a higher cycle life. We made temporary looming strips out of polyester sailcloth, sewing the 4-inch wide loop part of the Velcro to 10 inches along one side and applying 2 layers of Viva 371 film to the other with pinking along the interior edges of the strips. We calculated that 56 looming strips, 4 1/16 inch wide, placed at 4-inch intervals, would sit evenly around the circumference of the painting. Strip placement was guided by the use of a cardboard template, ensuring the attached strips established a radial line of tension from the center of the painting outwards. These looming strips were attached to the painting while it was face up on the platform. To minimize flexing the support and applying heat to the easily burnished paint film, we assembled a flat heating mat that could be slipped underneath the painting and looming strip while applying cool and gentle pressure from the front side to attach the strips. The mat is a discontinued flexible silicone heating mat previously sold by Omega, but readily available on eBay in a variety of sizes. We wired it to a standard plug and used a rheostat to regulate temperature, and then temperature was monitored using a non-contact thermometer from the front, and the rheostat could be adjusted accordingly. As we heated from behind the painting, we used a metal cushioned plate with Velara and wrapped in Marvel Seal to apply gentle pressure and reflect heat back towards the painting. After the Viva was activated, the strips were cooled under a cushioned metal plate and weights. We attached the strips 2 inches in from the tacking edge over the tacking edge and 2 inches past the tacking edge. We did not attach the strips to the full length of the wide tacking margins, and some areas of canvas shrinkage prevented this placement. So we used magnets to prevent flexing of the unattached tacking margins. These magnet bonbons, as we call them, have been used at UAG for a variety of treatment projects. A rare earth magnet of specified strength is attached to a piece of bladder or thin board and then wrapped in tissue or Tyvek. A color coding system can indicate strength and polarity. These bonbons make the magnets easy to pull from a surface and provide some cushion when applied directly to a work of art. We are using the same kind of bonbons as you'll see in our upright humidification of the planar deformations. We prepared the strainer by attaching the hook side of Velcro to both edges and verso with marine epoxy, giving our looming strips 2 points of contact. Cardboard pizza slices were fabricated to level the front of the strainer so that the painting would not slump during stretching. These pizza slices are removable from the back. We were then able to slide the painting onto the strainer and attach using the Velcro strips. This attachment system allows for minor adjustments to tension around the circle. Luckily, our new studio has been outfitted with light tubes recessed in the 12-foot ceiling that accommodate the 14-foot strainer to be upright on a repurposed easel that was fabricated for another oversized ceiling painting we treated. But despite careful measurements, we all held our breath when it was time to raise the painting in hopes that it would fit. This is the first time the painting has been upright since it left Abby's studio, and it was a moment that was breathtaking to us all. Matteo probably lined 3 paintings while we were doing this. With the painting upright, we knew that we would not be moving it frequently, and so we decided to humidify and flatten the planar deformations upright. We fabricated 3 different clear plastic vertical platforms that could be pushed up to the face of the painting as a working surface while we humidified using damp blotters from the back. A metal plate, or 3 in this case, on the back applied the weight needed to bring the canvas into plane, while magnets on the clear plate adjust the weight and hold the plate in place. The canvas reacts well to this controlled humidification. 20-minute exposures to damp bladder, followed by controlled drying under dry bladders, helped to resolve many planar deformations. The plexi surfaces allow us to monitor the front of the painting while performing these humidifications. Being able to easily adjust the tension using the Velcro tab system as the deformations are resolved and the canvas relaxes has also been really invaluable. In areas where folds have led to tented paint, we are concurrently using a suction platen for some of our work. Now you can see raking light before and after humidifications and stretching. We've rotated the painting twice, which involves a crew of about 8 to 10 people, and are almost done with this humidification step. And although we had hoped to have the painting stretched on its final stretcher in time for the symposium, my schedule got really busy with something. And so we have the good fortune today of presenting our future ideas for treatment to you all and soliciting your collective expertise to refine our plans. We've selected Trevira CS, a woven polyester fabric I was introduced to at the Schwarz mist lining workshop for our loose lining material. Loose lining the stretcher in its 2 component halves will provide a surface onto which to unroll and stretch the painting at each venue. We plan to edge line the painting and to again use Velcro to attach the painting to its stretcher. As we have discovered through mock-ups, the circular shape of the painting, its wide tacking margins, and the bulk from the Velcro presents several challenges in the final edge lining and stretching. We are currently using both painted and photographic mock-ups to map where the original folds around the circular shape are located in order to work around these folds rather than creating new ones when wrapping the painting and applying the Velcro attachments. So our current thinking is as follows. The loose lining will be attached to the 2 halves of the stretcher, and the hook side of the Velcro temporarily adheres to the sides and back. This will require careful pleating of the loose lining on the back of the stretcher to minimize bulk. The loose lining will then be removed, the Velcro sewn in place and re-stretched on the stretcher. We plan to edge line the painting also with Trevira and Biva film. We first thought that we would accomplish this by attaching 4 or 6 large wedges of Trevira allowing us to make small adjustments to the angle of tension during stretching. But we've realized in mock-ups that the system won't accommodate the extra bulk of the necessary folding around the circle of the original tacking edges, which will also contain the thickness of the Velcro. So rather, we are thinking about edge lining the painting with larger strips similar to our temporary looming system. We're considering custom shaping the strips to the spaces between the original folds in the canvas, allowing us to reuse the folds without introducing the extra bulk with the Velcro lining. For transport, we will roll the painting around a large diameter roller with interleaving matched to the thickness of the Velcro. This treatment has been and continues to be the product of a team of conservators, fellows, interns, engineers, fabricators, and consultants from across the museum and beyond. We're quite certain that Abby never would have imagined that his working study would provide so much insight into his working process, mobilizing such a large and dedicated team to bring his hours to life. And we hope you'll all be able to see the finished painting here in New Haven or in London in 2021.